My name is Richard Casper. I'm a Marine Corps veteran, and I teach the course here at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. This program started basically because after my injuries in war, I didn't know how to deal with myself. I came back, had a brain injury, my best friend was shot and killed. I didn't know myself at that point. Art has helped me by giving me a chance to have a voice again. I used to not be able to leave my house. I couldn't go talk to people. I would physically throw up and get sick. If you could be 0%, that's committing suicide, 100% being the best you can be. After the Marine Corps, after being injured, I was at probably like a 9 or a 10. And after this school, I was back to like 85% me. For people who may struggle like I did and didn't want to break out of the house and be like, I'm not sure if this is going to work, I just want them to know my story and be able to come out here and learn with other combat vets how to do art. And if they're looking for one more way, if they just come out here and give me a chance, it's going to be worth it.
What we were aiming for is to express what we were dealing with, when we were deployed and during our military career, where we literally get out of our element, go on this kind of like alternate reality to go back in time, think about what we went through, and express it to other people.
Just being exposed to different concepts of art, like at the museum and some of the contemporary art we saw, that's what influenced me to try doing a performance piece for my last project.
The opportunity to be at the school was just phenomenal. It was amazing. At lunch, we could go and wander the halls of the museums, and that was pretty awesome.
I think the hardest part was actually talking about what I've been through. It was easy talking to Richard because he is a combat veteran and he has been through stuff I've been through. And
my job was to, go find IEDs or find landmines or anti-personnel landmines and take them apart. And little did I know, I was putting that stuff inside me.
At first, it's a little hard to let yourself become vulnerable. You won't really know what to do right away. It takes a couple days. I know for me, it took a week.
Being surrounded by a bunch of veterans that know what combat feels like, knows the after effects of combat, knows how it feels to come home. It was really comfortable being here.
They're going to come to class like normal college students, treated like normal people that know how to be like, I can be in college, I am a normal person, and I could live like everybody else lives. If even one of them chose to go to college.
Hey guys. How's everybody doing? So today I thought, hey, thanks for the host and the sparks, appreciate it. So today I'm continuing to work on a project I've been working on all week. Hey, Brett. I started making a mermaid crown. And it's literally wire, seashells, some rhinestones, pearls, a bunch of different things. Excuse me. Hey, thanks for the follow. So we'll be continuing that, and hopefully you guys will get to see me wrap it up. So let's move over to my workspace, and I'll show you guys where I started and talk a little bit about how wire wrapping works, because it's a lot of wire wrap work in this. All right, let's scooch over there and we'll see it. All right, so here's what we have. So what I've done is I have taken a, hey, thanks for the sparks. I've taken 20 gauge wire and 18 gauge wire and made a frame. And then I'll pull these over. I've got these sitting over here because I used a glue to secure the wire to the seashells. So I painted these with just acrylic paints. And then I looped a little wire into here and I secured them with a glue called E6000. You could do this with a hot glue gun. E6000 is an industrial glue and literally is the best glue I've ever found that adheres different materials to each other, metal to shell. fabric to wood, right? Anything like that. So thank you, Lady Brittany. So I took all of these shells and painted them all, adhered a few little rhinestones to some of them, like that one right there. You see that? So it's been painted with acrylics, and then I adhered some little rhinestones to them to make them look cute. I'm going to scooch this over because I don't want to shuffle those around too much. I made this frame base, and now I'm going to sit and wire wrap these shells to this base, right? So this piece right here is a support piece. It's just wrapped in here and secured. I'm going to wrap these to this base and not to the support piece on the back, because that's going to have some more E6000 on it, right? So I'm going to make sure that it's supported with that glue, but I want this base supported so that nothing ever falls, right? So they'll have to be supported in the back to make sure they don't fall forward and they don't move back and forth, and then wire wrap to the base to make sure that they don't ever shift or fall down, right? So that's what we're going to be working on. I've started on this one. Gonna need my glasses. How long has this taken to create? I've probably got about 12 hours in it right now. I would say we're probably gonna end it with about 14, maybe 16 hours, start to finish. So I used a couple of different techniques on this headband to create it. I used two different types of wire wrapping, we'll call them stitches. One's called a herringbone stitch, and I made it very, very loose. And then the other is just an in and out stitch that I could expand so that I would have a place for this wire to secure as I did this. So normally, wire wrapping is very, very tight and very, very precise. For this particular headband, and y'all, you're going to see me look that way because I have to look at my computer monitors. They're not in front of me to see chat. So I'm peeking over there at you guys. So this is going to be very loose because as I add other shells, the wire is going to go in between the other wires, which will help secure them. So it's kind of like a layered technique. But if I do it really, really tight, then I don't give myself any room for all of the other shells to be wrapped. So it's been a really fun project, though. It has been seriously labor intensive, but it's been a fun project. It's cool to take, you know, a bunch of stuff. Like I had a bunch of seashells left over from another project. I made a 6-foot tall steampunk trident for an aerial cosplay. Not for myself, but for somebody else. And all of these seashells were ones that I had prepared and then decided to put in other pieces or whatever as the project moved on. And then I just saved these bits, and I made that trident. Hey, Awesome Ketchup. Hey, Scar. Yeah, you can. Hey, Brit the Panda, how are you? I saw you sneak in here. I made that trident, is it 3 years ago? So these have just been sitting in my stash this whole time, right? And it's really cool when you've got stuff like that laying around to be able to use it for something new. But I'll tell you what, I never thought that I would enjoy wire wrapping because I've never enjoyed sewing, and it looks extremely similar to me. Not hand sewing anyway. I do like to machine sew, but to do like really detailed hand sewing stuff or embroidery or knitting or crochet, it's just never really been my thing. And it's more stressful than relaxing to me. So I just don't do it. But wire, for whatever reason, is definitely my medium. I have so enjoyed using it. It's really, really cool how much you can do with this kind of a resource. Oh, and hey, while we're talking, Outlaw and I had talked years ago about, thank you, Lady Brittany. I can't see your name from Twitch saying hello. Is it Martin? Hi, Martin. I hope that's right. We had talked years ago about taking some of his old shells, not seashells, and making a wind chime. And I thought that might be cool to do on one of the streams that I do for CreatiVets. I have some, oh, it's Marilyn. I'm sorry, Marilyn. Anyway, so I've got some old shells that he has that we've knocked the firing pins out of. And I thought it'd be cool to make a little memory wind chime out of them. So if you guys like that idea, we could do that on one of these streams. I'm just going to lay these out so I can see which way they face, so I can decide which shells go where as I go. I've laid this out in about 7 different designs so far. And I think I'm going to put this one here next. So this is secured on the back, and then the wire's wrapped in the front. And I'm just using the natural shape of the shell to pull this down, and then I'm going to twist it just like you would a twist tie right there to keep it nice and taut against the shell. So see how, you can't see it, I zoomed in. See how secure this is? Right? That shell is not going to come off that wire. And that's what we want. We want it nice and taut on the shell. So that when I put it in here, and I'm just going to slide these wires through these other wires. Yep, I need it closer to that one, so I'm going to move it. Because I want this one, I think, to come in at an angle. And this little wire wants to just get all over the place in everybody's business. And I don't want it there, so I'm gonna reach in here real careful and pull that back out. Can you guys still see this? I'm gonna have to zoom out a little. There we go, that's better. That's better. So see how we can get that immediate, like really nice placement? Love it. So then I'm going to take this, and right where I was wrapping before with the other wire that I left that space for, I'm going to go right in between that wire with this wire. So eventually this will be pretty much covered in one solid, excuse me, spiral of wire. So this particular headband is made pretty uniquely to be worn in front of a headset, like you would wear to play games. It's got a mic on it, right? And I wanted to make it to where it would go forward on the head in front of a headset. So it's shaped a little bit different than normal, like a normal tiara would be. But functionality-wise, I think this is going to work a lot better. So some of the things that I've made a lot of jewelry with wire wrapping, obviously. But I also wire wrap the binding of a journal. I know Garrett had a stream the other day where he was talking about making little sketchbooks. Very similar process, but rather than thread, I ran through and wire wrapped a decorative design along my binding, and it looked really, really cool. I've also done some wire wrapping along the tops of wood burn gourds. It's pretty versatile skill. I think it has lots of applications. And it is very calming to sit here and do it. It's very relaxing to me, which is really good for my head. So this is a little shaky, won't be after I wire wrap, or after I glue it to the back. But I'm going to run this wire down that little wire in the front that crosses the front of the seashell, and then back down through these two larger wires that I've been wrapping. Does not want to cooperate, but I'm gonna do it. Gonna make it happen, chat. Hey, look, I'm hosting myself. I have an auto host set up for CreatiVets. so that when anybody is streaming, I'm hosting them on my own channel on Mixer. So the more wire you put in one spot, the harder it is. That's what I was saying about there being gaps in this, right? The more wire you put in one spot, the harder it is to add another one. So CreatiVets has had an incredible week this week. Been super busy, and it's been so cool watching all the stuff. I've really, really enjoyed it. There we go. There we go. That's better. So I'm going to attempt to do the same thing on this side. So that we can get this shell secured to this one. We're going to pull this wire all the way through the back. There we go. Very nice. So I've got 3 of these little bands here to give myself plenty of the larger gauge wire to work with. Since I wasn't sure how much it would take to secure these. And it's always better to give yourself more options at the start of a project like this than less. Because you don't want to get into, you know, 12 hours of work and find out that the band doesn't have enough room to do all your wire wrapping on it. Hey Skelly, nice to see you here. So there's our first 2. Making progress. Check it out. And we're just going to keep using the exact same technique for each one of these shells all the way through this. So has anybody on the channel ever wire wrapped before? Yes, you count. You're on the channel. You know what? I don't want that one in there. I think I want to do this one instead. We're going to save that one. Not quite the right shape for this space. On aircraft. That counts. See? Very applicable. You can use it for lots of stuff. Yeah, I want this more to the front. Just wiggle it around until you like the placement. It's a nice thing about a project like this. You can't really get it wrong. Because it's never been made before. It's a brand new creation. So you don't have to worry about how did somebody else make it? What does somebody else think? It's just yours. So for those of you who have perfectionistic tendencies, this type of stuff is great because there's no wrong answer. You get to make an item never been made before, completely with your own hands. And how it turns out is how it turns out. I mean, it's the end of this thing is probably going to be filled with 1,000 perfect imperfections. It's one of the great things about art of any kind. The artist always sees it a different way that the world does, but you know, we humans are naturally flawed. We are full of a bunch of perfect imperfections, and so is our art. So is everything we create. And I think embracing that and really going with it really opens a lot of room to be creative and to go even further with your projects. It certainly helps me to remember that, because it means that I don't have to say, oh, I don't know how to do that, right? Yeah, I can't do that. I've never done that before. Well, why can't I? I mean, what if I can do that and I just don't know because I've never done it before? So I try to keep that in mind, particularly if I have a project that I'm struggling on. I did an elephant painting the other night, and it was extremely difficult at one point, and I was a little frustrated. And I just, went, it's okay. It's okay that this feels imperfect right now, because by the end of it, it's going to be great. So I had a little love-hate relationship with a piece of art for about 3 hours, 4 hours. And by the end of it, once I stood back and looked at it, I was like, wow, this is actually really cool, right? But there was a whole relationship there for a while, making that painting. And we had an argument in the middle of that relationship. But it turned out great. It really did. It turned out great. And I learned a lot doing it. Those helpful mistake kind of things, right? Like, this is a bad idea. This didn't work out the way I wanted to. This wasn't very smooth, but it's still mine. And it was a really, really good process. I think that's part of the reason why I do as much of this as I do. Is I crave that relationship with creating something, the struggles, the feeling of completing something, the feeling of doing something new. It's a cool thing. Look at this, we're doing it. Making progress. Starting to look like it's supposed to. So this, I think, needs to go here on the right because of how we set those stones. That's too close. You can hear my Discord going off. Hang on just a second. Did you fix it? Are you hearing beeps or updates? Excuse me. You can still hear it. What are you hearing? Like a notification sound? Well, it's not me. I just shut literally everything down. Hey, Man Glazed Black, how are you? So I'm not sure where that's coming from. Sorry. I think I'm going to need a smaller shell here. I don't think that one will fit. Oh, that's fun. Like bow ties? Like Bill Nye the Science Guy bow ties? Sweet. Oh, very cool. Hey, Cass, thanks for the follow. That's awesome. Man, I loved the birdhouses. Love the whole art box idea. Like, that's the coolest thing ever. If you guys missed it, Garrett did his stream, and now, as I say this, correct me if I'm wrong, okay? But they sent 10 art boxes out to veterans and 1 to Garrett, and then he unboxed it and they built birdhouses together. Was it 10? Oh, I love it. I love everything about it. Like, that is the coolest thing ever. Really, really cool to get to watch. Was it 10? Awesome. Awesome. Yes. Yeah, so they all got to, while Garrett was doing it on stream, they were at home. They had the exact same art box he did. So they could make the exact same item that he was making live on stream at the same time, which is so cool. And what a way to take what normally would be a live class and make it virtual, right? And yet still people being able to actively participate with the products that you're using. Like, love everything about it. I just thought it was too cool. And you did a great job on your bricks too, by the way. Very impressive. So yeah, Garrett is the art director for CreatiVets, and he streams regularly for CreatiVets and does some really cool stuff, like some graphic novel stuff. He does some shadow art, works with clay. Pretty versatile, right? Are you? Yeah, I started working on this, and the reason we struggled with this elephant painting is because I set this down to dry, the glue on the shells, and I thought it would just take a moment. No, it took all night long. So in the meantime, we worked on the elephant painting. But it was a struggle. I had a whole love-hate relationship with that project. But that happens sometimes. So this shell right here sits on the last part of this brace that I created on the back. So this is the last shell that's going to stand up, right? And you'll notice there's quite a gap here. I've got some pearls and other things that we're going to add to this, so I want to add room. I want to leave room for that. And I'm going to leave these 2 little tails of wire. Hard to see. I'm going to leave these 2 little tails of wire here, so that if I want to use those to add a couple pieces and then wrap back around the shell, I can. But That's going to be my last point of my brace, and then these shells are going to lay here on the side of the band so that they're not so high on the sides. So let's see. Here's our ingredients. I have blue wire. I have this silver wire here. This is my whiter wire that I made the base out of. Seashells. And then a little bin full of a bunch of stuff. I've got some plastic buttons I added rhinestones to, a little metal button, some old rhinestones from jewelry, some pearls, some flat stones. Got some silver chain in there. So I threw a bunch of stuff in that little bin that I thought might look good with it. Is that the one I want there? Yeah. And then we're going to see how much of that I actually add. Because we may end up not adding that many pieces to this. It depends on how it looks. I want it to be pretty busy. I want it to be pretty cluttered. But not so much so that it takes away from the whole piece, right? I need it to be full enough that it looks like a crown, a solid piece, but not so busy that you don't see the detail. So there's a balance there that I'll be looking for as I work through this piece, right? We're going to leave those tails down there. And then I have these little shells. Let me tell you, these guys, not easy to figure out how to wire wrap, right? Because there's no real place on this cone that I can wrap a wire. So I went ahead and affixed it to the back, tucked it under the shell on as many as I could to make sure that it was nice and secure, with the thought that I would just go ahead and pop them in like you would pop in a hat pin, right? I just pop them in here and there. Sort of like that. So because this isn't wrapped around the shell and it's only affixed to the shell, I want to make sure that wherever I put these, that they are going to be super secure, right? And that they are supported by other pieces, like this shell that's in the front. Then we're going to support it again. So it's supported against that shell, supported against this shell. It is not touching the whole back. So I think I'm going to put a few pearls back there. And when I do, I'm going to string them on this wire And then when I get ready to use the E6000 on this brace on the back to affix everything, then I'll make sure that I adhere shell to shell as well as shell to pearl to make sure that this little guy is really secure in there. And again, I'm going to leave these wire trails out here because I'm going to use the same wire from the shells to affix the other pieces so that they're all attached together. If I'm using all individual wires that I've cut, I don't have the same strength as if I use a single wire, right? Every time you cut a wire, you have a chance of it unraveling or coming undone. So I want to make sure that I continue with the same wire as frequently as I can. So I'm going to bring this one up on top of that shell in between these two, and I'm just going to string this pearl on it right there. And then I'm going to take this around to the top of this back brace and secure this pearl on the back brace. Right, so you see how we add layers by doing this? So we've got some interest that's not just a flat surface. We've actually got some interest from the side as well. So since this is a piece that's going to be worn on somebody's head and you move around, we want to make sure that it's nice and three-dimensional, right? So I have to think about how many different ways this is going to be seen. Now I'm coming back down through this pearl a second time after wrapping on that brace with the same wire. I'm going to pull that nice and taut and then come back down here where we started and rewrap on this original band. And like I said, the more I do this, the harder it gets to do. More wire you put in one spot. This pearl is suspended right now, so I want to make sure it's not going to move too much. Scared myself. I like it. So this shell right here, we're going to slide right there on top. Yeah, I like that. And we're going to wrap this to this back brace. You guys have any questions or anything, feel free to ask. Any comments? gotten used to chatting while I work. I don't know how to just sit here quiet anymore. Pretty soon I'm going to be doing this. I won't be on stream and I'll just be sitting here talking to myself. There we go. Is that good? Then I just sit and talk to myself? I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I mean, it's a thing, obviously, because I'm probably not going to stop anytime soon. Has anybody ever seen a project like this made before? Or is this just all new to everybody? Yeah, that's not going to hold. It is not going to hold. I'm going to take this wire right back out of here that I just secured. That does not want to wrap that shell. And if I secure it down there, this shell's just going to do this when she's wearing it and come loose. So I don't want that to happen. So we're going to undo this. There we go. Need to reassess our plan on this guy. That's better. Not quite. It's a little different. It'll definitely be unique by the time I get it done. So you see this one shell down here shaking? Can you see how loose this one is? Everybody else is staying in their place and this guy's got a problem. So I'm going to take this tail, bring it through this wire that's holding the corner of that shell. to pull that taut. Now this shell does have the brace behind it, so I've got a second way to make sure that it's held in place. He's just got a little bit too much distance behind him. Which is okay. Shellfish. Oh, how are you, Hunt? Good to see you, man. So I'm going to slide this right back here. And secure this one here. Looks super messy right now, doesn't it, guys? But we're going to get there. In pain, but still laxing. Wishing my talk to text were so I don't have to type so much. Oh, hi, I'm sorry. I hope it gets better. Or at least you can relax a little bit. There we go. Look at that, much more secure. I'm doing pretty good. Been working on this for a minute, I can tell you that. All right. Hey, thanks for the follow. Thank you. Appreciate you both. Love the compliments. I was saying at the beginning of the stream how relaxing I find this. Like wire wrapping is super relaxing to me. It's a nice way. It takes a lot of focus, right? It takes some planning. You've got to think out. It's like playing chess. You got to think so many moves ahead, you know? You want to be a merman? Oh, Brownie's hosting. Thank you. You got to think a lot of steps ahead to make sure that your design actually, like you leave yourself enough room to do what you want to do later on, and you give yourself enough room to make changes to that. Particularly with a project where you're not following a pattern, where you're just creating, right? And I think one of the reasons that this is so relaxing to me is because it completely gets me out of my own head. And having a moment where I'm out of my own head, when I get done with this, I am very clear. Like I have a lot of clarity. And if I need to process something, if I need to actually deal with something real in my life, I'm clear enough and calm enough that I can do that in a much more constructive way because I've taken the time, you know, to calm myself and to get in a different kind of headspace. And I think that's one of the reasons why I enjoy this so much, is just because I can see a lot of benefits for me in this technique. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. And the sparks, thanks for those too. Ooh, I need to fix my glasses. So there's just a lot of positives in it, right? I mean, everybody has different mediums that they like. This is just one that I particularly appreciate. But it's starting to build up nice, right? It's starting to look like it might be a crown. If there weren't 1,000 pokey wires in it, I'd try it on. But I'm pretty sure that wouldn't feel very good right now. King me. Are you asking, was I a veteran? I was not a veteran. My name is MrsOEF 5, which stands for Operation Enduring Freedom 5. My husband was in Operation Enduring Freedom with the 5th Rotation of Troops in Afghanistan. I also have a daughter that was an MP. I have a brother-in-law that's an engineer. I have a nephew who's currently a recruiter. 2 uncles who were in Vietnam. Another brother-in-law that was in the reserves. And all of them Army. So, not a veteran. Military wife for 22 years before he retired, though. So I do feel like I've done a little bit of time, if I'm honest. But I have been volunteering for veterans organizations for a long time. I've worked with a lot of vets. I also ran a mentoring program for children with parents with PTSD. So this is definitely a huge, huge part of my heart. Huge part of my heart. I regularly stream on Mixer. And I reached out to CreatiVets after watching a stream that Garrett did and said, hey, I want to be part of this. CreatiVets is an absolutely incredible organization. They do phenomenal work helping veterans to heal through art and music and to tell their stories, which is absolutely priceless. But I reached out because during COVID, when I watched all the other not-for-profits that I'm affiliated with in different ways stop. They just stopped. They shut down because there was nothing else they could do. And I'm not placing any blame. But what CreatiVets did was immediately went to streaming even when they were not prepared to do so, because they refused to leave veterans that they're serving alone during a crisis. And I have nothing but respect for organizations who do that. So I wanted to be a part of it. So here I am. Not a veteran, but 100% invested in this. So I hope that helps to answer your question. I do. You can look me up as MrsOEF 5 on Mixer. I suppose I could put that in there. I don't really advertise myself on CreatiVets. I mean, I can. I know that I can, but I don't. I'll go type it in here. Hang on. Oh, Britt the Panda's got it for me. Thank you so much. Yeah, I do a creative stream. As a matter of fact, this crown has been made for the last 3 days on that stream. But yeah, if you can support CreatiVets. Are you a veteran? Because they have programs for you that are absolutely wonderful if you are. And you can go to, well, I think the links have been up there, yeah? Yeah, creativevets.org is up there. And I'm a little mermaid. Well, I'll tell you what. If you're in the stream and you're not a veteran, I hope you're enjoying it. And things like this definitely help with PTSD, anxiety disorders, depression disorders, anything like that. And if you do know a veteran that can be helped by CreatiVets, just spreading the word is a huge help, right? Just getting that knowledge out there. Or of course, you know, you can donate. You can help them out that way too. But definitely helping to find veterans to let them know that we're here. Because I know that there's a lot of veterans on Mixer and Twitch that could probably really benefit from this type of stream. I want that just peeking out, but I want it a little bit higher. Hey, Wrecked by Aliens following. Thank you for the follow. All right. There we go, that's better. Hey, Elaine, how are you? I'm doing good. Thought you were taking it out for a bit. And I don't know what you mean. Or are you talking to somebody else in chat? Did you mean you thought I was taking this bit out? Oh, you guys did a Twitch, right? Thank you. Thank you, Twitch kidlets. And all Twitchies. No, I just wanted to move it a little higher. I like the depth of having multiple layers here, but I wanted it just high enough to kind of balance out this shell over here, but not be the same height. Right? Because I want it to be very three-dimensional by the time I get done with it. So there's going to have to be some multiple layers to it. So right now we're looking, I've got about 2 inches here. I don't want it so heavy that she can't wear it, but I do want it full. And this, of course, is just the base. Because there's going to be all kinds of other guys on here as we go. Yeah, it's a mermaid crown. So check this out, you guys. Okay, so I'm going to move these wires so that you can get an idea of what we're going for, okay? What do you think? So this can be worn to the front of a set of headphones. What do you think? Do I look like a mermaid queen yet? Yes, it could be a merman crown. Yeah, I think it's going to be really nice when we get it done. Thank you. Oh, thank you. I'm glad. I'm glad you guys like it. So this technique does not have to be used for just making mermaid crowns. Oh, thank you. So I'm going to attach this little string of pearls from an old necklace to this button that I added a rhinestone to. This is sort of like heavy metal collage art at this point, I think. Right? And I think I'm going to pop this right on the side so it hangs down a little bit. Sometimes you gotta manhandle it just a little. Get it to do what you want. These little pliers that I've been using are just round nose pliers. Nothing special about them other than they're very thin on the end, right? And they have no teeth. So they don't leave any marks in my wire. Even the anodized wire, this blue wire, is a copper wire that's been anodized blue. And it hardly leaves any marks in that either. So I can be kind of rough with it and get it to do what I want without really damaging the color of the wire. How am I doing on time, y'all? Oh, good. I'm doing good. We're only an hour in. We're doing a good job. I've got about 12 hours, 13 hours into it now. Something like that. Pretty close. I'll probably top out at about 20 by the time it's finished. So it's been pretty labor intensive. There, see? That's a nice little addition. I like that. Now we're going to do something similar on this side. Not exactly the same, but similar. You know what? That's not true. That's not true. I don't have that many hours in this. Because I did the Dark Mermaid series and I did the elephant, so you can take, I'm at about 9. I'm at about 9 hours right now. I forgot, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm at about 9, so I figure I'll probably have 12 or 13 in it. So not quite as long. I'll be somewhere around there. I've done too much stuff this week. I was losing track of what's what. We've had a busy week, huh, Skelly? All right, so I'm going to trim off this wire here and this wire here. The second set of pliers I'm using are flat on the inside. So they help me to flatten that wire back over to the inside so that it's not pokey. It's nice and smooth here and will be all the way across here by the time I get done with it. So I think I'm going to do rhinestones on that other side. So let's put a few of these pearls in here. And we'll start wrapping up these wires. So I'm going to pop 2 on here. And then I'm going to bring my wire back. Underneath this seashell. Well, no, I'm not. It's too full. I'm going to have to bring it down this way instead of up. There we go. I pushed all these wires back to put this on my head, and now they're in my way. That's okay, because they're all going to get trimmed up here in just a second, and we won't have them here anymore. So those are coming from the back, and these are all here. Make sure I know where they're at and what they belong to. And I'm just going to keep working in all these details. I'm just building layers on layers. So this little button here wants to move around on me. So I just took its little wire tail, ran it through that pearl. I'm going to run this wire back through the button. Pull both of them taut. Probably going to have to do that again, but not with this wire. Yeah, he's going to need some support on the back or something. So I'm just going to take this wire, run a pearl up here. I'm going to place this pearl on the wire where I want it to land, and then I'm going to go back and wrap that wire on the other side of the pearl, just like I did with the first one, where I wrapped it around here and then went back through. So I'm going to pull that back through and then wrap this side so that I'm catching that other extra bit of wire on the other side of the pearl. All right, So let's see where we're at with this little guy. Starting to look better. It's not perfect. You guys still see this? There you go. It's not falling all the way back anymore. So that's good. Excuse me. So I'm debating if I need a pearl on this side or not. Where's Beta? How heavy is this? If I had to say, I'd probably say about 4 ounces. Quarter of a pound, maybe. Beta is not up here, my cat. I'm sure he will be. But it's not very heavy at all. These little buttons are all plastic. The shells, of course, are real seashells. Flat rhinestones, faux pearls. So they're all pretty lightweight. So it's not bad. And I mean, it'll just stand up by itself. Like without even being secured. So I made these ends so that I can tie a ribbon to them so that they would go back behind her neck, right? And then her headphones would go here. But you legit could wear this even unfinished just like this and it'd stay on your head. It's not bad. It weighs a little bit more than my glasses do. Maybe twice as much as my glasses, but it's not bad. Yeah, it's not bad. It's coming along nicely. And it's coming, this part of it's coming along really quick. I mean, the band and the planning of things. Definitely taken the longest of the whole process. But it's coming along. Just getting rid of these shortest bits that I absolutely know I'm not going to use, because I don't want these in my way for the rest of this. Well, you know, I said the buttons were plastic, but that one's metal. So 2 of the buttons are plastic. And one of them's metal. And I was just working with what I had laying around. Right? I couldn't even tell you how old these buttons are or what they were from originally. Just random buttons. Do I have a tiny? Yes, I do. We want a tiny one here. starting to look like a real crown. Nice. I like it. All right. So I have some little bits of chain here. That I thought it would be cool to maybe have those draped down. I've got a big link and then I've got a smaller link. And I was thinking about running chain like this and then hanging this little heart off of it. Just a little short bit of chain. So I'm going to grab a couple of jump rings right here behind me. Because I may need these. And I think probably going to need a fairly big size to be able to get around that wire. I wonder if I only want it, maybe just a short one. Let's see. So if we do a little short one here, I haven't given myself much room left to work. But we're close to finishing, so that's okay. I'll close up this jump ring. Scare myself. Yeah, guys, I like the chain. That's nice. Let me get a smaller jump ring for this. Those are sterling. I'm just going to attach this little bobble here to the end of this chain. So we've got a little hanging bit on that side. So I'm thinking this little bobble on this side would look nice. Give it some balance maybe. Since I'm using natural shells, and they're all very unique, and I'm using a bunch of different shaped sized pearls and buttons and everything else, I don't want to try and make this look too uniform, right? You see that? But I do want it to have some balance. Like, I don't want it to be really heavily weighted on one side and empty on the other. But I definitely don't want it to look super symmetrical. So for the people who've stuck with me all week, watching me make this, are you glad to finally see something make sense in the design? So day one, we painted the shells, added some of the rhinestones, and started on the base of this. Day two, we did pretty much nothing on stream but wrap that headband. And then we got all of the first round of glue on stuff. So basically everybody's watched me for a week construct pieces of something that's in my head that they can't see, and I've been telling them this is what it's going to be. But it's hard to imagine when you're just looking at a bunch of weird materials parted together on my desk, I'm sure. Yeah? Hi, B-Boy. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, it's been a long process, right? But it's good. It's good. All right, so I need a head pin. Hey, well, welcome. I'm glad you came. Yeah, we've been working on this one for a while. Normally, for my CreatiVets streams, I work on content just for them, right? I create content that is just for CreatiVets. At this week, we're having a continuation of something I've been working on all week. So, for instance, we did a stream for CreatiVets that was making some keychains out of stone, and those keychains were specifically used with 2 different kinds of breathing exercises, right? So you can hold your keychain in your hand and do the counts for the breathing exercises with your keychain. And then there's a bunch of other people, artists and professors that stream for CreatiVets, and they do some really, really amazing things on this channel. There's a songwriter and a potter and graphic artist, a collage artist that's amazing. Like, they've got some really, really cool stuff going on. And CreatiVets works specifically with veterans to heal them through art and music. But while they're online streaming, you know, you have a chance to see all kinds of cool stuff that they're doing. And you know, if you've got any kind of anxiety, depression, PTSD, any kind of issues like that, or others, some of the skills that you're going to pick up in these streams can help you, which is awesome. Guys, I like it. You want to see it? Oh, I just knocked that off. How did I knock that off? Because I did not check the links in my chain. That's why. Okay. I had this old chain laying around, and it didn't occur to me to check and see if the chain links were together. I just tightened the jump ring, so I'll have to make sure. I'll go back and check all those and tighten those up here in a little bit. That's okay. Thanks for popping in. All right. Oh my gosh, that is not going to stay on there. That's why you test stuff, right? Okay, it looks tight. Okay. You good? Okay. I'm going to put this on once again. I'm going to pop over here to this other camera. So I can see myself. Let's see. I like it, guys. What do you think? It's coming along pretty good, right? You want to see some of the details in that? So there's all kinds of stuff. Got nice dimension, right? So that no matter where she's seen from, you still get the same effect that we're looking for. Like, I'm digging it. It's good. So when I end this stream, you see how these are unbalanced? I'm going to add a nice large size rhinestone right here. And then I'm going to add a series of rhinestones and pearls all the way along here. I'm going to glue them on. Then I'm going to go behind here where this support is. See the wavy wire support? And I'm going to affix all of those to that. And then let that glue dry overnight so that it absolutely, like, it's really secure right now. I mean, you guys have watched me throw it around all stream, right? Like, I can peek through. So it's really secure, like it's not going to fall apart on her. But I do like to make sure when it's going to be worn that it's not going to get damaged. So I'll wiggle all of those little shells around, get them just like I like them, and use that E6000 on them tonight, and then it'll sit overnight to dry. And then this little mermaid crown's going to go find a home. So enjoyed talking with you all about wire wrapping. That was fun. If you guys would like to maybe have me do a stream making wind chimes out of old military stuff, some memory chimes, we can do that. Let us know. Or if you've got other ideas or other things that you'd like to see, you know, let us know. I'm more than happy to provide the content that you guys actually want. So if there's a project that you're thinking of doing, but you just haven't done it because you don't know how, or you don't know how to start, let us know what it is. And if I can't do it, I'm telling you, one of the rest of the people screaming for CreatiVets definitely can. So we'll find a way to help you out, all right? But right now I'm gonna wrap it up and say thank you so much for everybody being here, and for the new people, the new follows, and for Twitch and Facebook Live and YouTube and Mixer. I appreciate you. So you guys get a chance, donate to CreatiVets if you can. If you are a veteran, please sign up. It's a wonderful organization. And I will probably see you Thursday from this channel again. All right? So you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you soon.
We are a nonprofit that's helping combat disabled veterans heal through the arts and music. Our art programs in Chicago and California help combat disabled veterans tell their story through art. We enroll them into the best art institutes in the country. We pay for their tuition, their housing, their food all 3 weeks so that they can finally tell their story through art. We also bring combat disabled veterans to Nashville, to places and rooms like this here at the Grand Ole Opry, to tell their story for the first time with pro songwriters all about the things that they went through that they've never been able to talk about before. These programs have been extremely successful in helping veterans combat their PTSD. Right now, CreatiVets has more veterans applying for our programs than we do funding. So if you can go to creativets.org and donate, we would appreciate it.